the biggest fans in the world.
Up Samoa, bro. We're going to win. Win or lose, we made it to the final! Yeah! They still champion of the world!
I like to watch them a lot because when they score, that makes me feel happy. And I think it makes Fiji proud.
In just 3 days, the Rugby World Cup begins. And if the warm-up games are anything to go by, the Pacific teams, Fiji, Samoa and Tonga, are the ones to watch.
England has sung to its nadir, but for Fiji, it is simply the greatest moment in their rugby history.
That was a Samoan performance that lays down a very clear marker for Argentina, Japan, England and Chile. They will make an impact at the World Cup. They made an impact tonight, but just fall short. The full-time score, Ireland 17, Samoa 13.
This is despite all the challenges and setbacks.
If you have a game where the rules favour one set of teams over another, one set of countries over another, is that game fair?
Pacific Island Rugby has given so much to the game and got so little back.
Malawilele, I'm Tom Kitchen, and today on The Detail, what can we expect from the Pasifika rugby teams this World Cup? How are they tackling their way to the top? And what are their New Zealand-based superfans planning?
Bulavanaka.
Yeah, Nisa Bulavinaka Tom, or your Fiji name is Tomasi, Bulavinaka Tomasi.
Nemai Tangitaki Mbao presents the Fijian program on the Pacific Media Network and is a member of the Forum of the Fiji Association in Auckland. She's also a rugby superfan.
Go Fiji, go! And that's the lament or the cheer that you'll hear often in France this Rugby World Cup.
Are you excited?
Oh my goodness, I'm excited. I've lost my voice. I've regained it again. The win there in England against England in Twickenham.
England's fortress is the Temple of Doom. England 22, Fiji 30.
How was that?
Oh boy, it was early in the morning. We put our, alarms on. It went off just before 2, and we were here in front of the telly. Oh boy, I said, everybody watching the game, I want to see your faces in church. It's early Sunday morning. And so we had the telly on, we had 2 phones going because we were watching the live of the Fijian supporters there in Twickenham. One of the supporters, he's a blogger, and so he went live. And we just saw blue, everywhere where he was seated. There were Indian people, there were European people, Fijian people, and our Pasifika families. They were there cheering Fiji on. We've got it. We've always got it in us. You know what I mean, Tom, eh?
Yeah.
We just needed the special people, the right people to be in there to bring this out of the boys.
What do you think of their chances of winning?
They're going to make it to the quarters.
You think?
Yep. Yes. Yeah, we're not going to just fly in and fly out. No. We're there to play, and we mean business.
Fiji may have the best chance of winning out of any of the Pacific teams. Eliasa Tora is RNZ Pacific sports journalist, and he's heading to France to cover the tournament. He hails from Fiji and has covered Pacific sports for over 15 years. Now his team is ranked 7th in the world.
Highest so far that Fiji has achieved in world ranking in rugby. That came about after their famous win over England at Twickenham. They've had a steady build-up since they started in July with the Pacific Nations Cup, where they were able to win the series, playing Tonga, Japan and Samoa, and beating all 3 of them impressively.
And the final match of the Pacific Nations Cup, it will be Fiji. He'll pick up their 6th title.
They're currently the highest climber in the world ranking, so they're doing pretty well. Do you realistically think they have any chance of winning?
I believe they will be very competitive against Australia and Wales in the pool matches, and they can tip the scales on those two teams.
You'd like to see them win, though. You're a Fijian. I mean, you know, national pride. You want to see them get the trophy?
Yes, of course. Of course I would. You know, that would be great. That would be great. That would be the story of the Rugby World Cup 2023 if that happens. I'm certainly hoping that they can perform the way they've been doing and perform well and cause upsets.
What about Samoa? They're sitting at number 12. What are their chances of doing well at this tournament?
Samoa, like Fiji, has improved in leaps and bounds, and they've done very well. They have players that have got experience, have got the fire. Some of them have already, played for the All Blacks. I think there's Sopoanga there, one of the key players who's played in their last two warm-up matches out there in France and has done very well.
Sopoanga's there, and it's really opening up, and it will be Sopoanga. Oh, that was all about patience.
You have also Christian Leleafano from the Wallabies and Moana Pasifika, who also has a lot of very good experience playing international rugby, playing in this kind of atmosphere.
Who wants it? It's been picked up by Leleafano, and over the top it goes, and it is a try!
They have players from across Europe also, like Fiji and Tonga, who've come in and mixed with the players from the Moana Pasifika, from the Super Rugby competition. Silala Mapusua, their head coach, says he's confident that with these kind of players, they would be able to be a force to be reckoned with in their pool. They have caused some upsets in past tournaments.
And Wales have to go through another phase. Where is the piece of magic, I wonder? That is it! The end of an amazing tussle. What a tremendous score for Samoa.
And they can still cause upsets at the upcoming World Cup.
Let's have a look at Tonga now. A few of their key players won't be there, but they've made some strides too, haven't they?
Yes, Tonga also has quite a good squad that can also cause upsets on the day if they are able to get their game right. Israel Folau is out because of a knee injury that has taken longer than expected to heal. But got players like former Wallaby lock forward Adam Coleman, former All Blacks players like Charles Piutau, Waya Fifita, George Moala, Malakai Fekitoa. These are players who have come in and gelled with the other players from Europe and from Moana Pasifika. They came back from the Pacific Nations Cup Series without a win. They defeated Australia A before that, and then they returned home and beat Canada in 2 test matches. Wow. Before heading off to France. Definitely Tonga is the dark horse of the Pacific teams because we haven't really seen them perform the way their coach had expected in the Pacific Series. His aim is Ireland. He wants to topple Ireland.
Good luck.
That's a big ask, but anything can happen.
But how excited are Tongans this coming World Cup? Sami Paelotu is a Tongan Community Secretary in Christchurch.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and some of the family, we're hoping for some good results in it for the boys in it.
Do you think that people care enough about rugby union in Tonga?
I see this not as a fully 100% support in that the people give to support that they give to the league team, the Mate Mā Tonga. The support is still there, but not as strong. And I'm sure that they will come to a stage in that they have the same level of support, hoping for it. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do people care more about league than union in Tonga?
Well, if we take back our memories back a few years back, like 3-4 years back, preparation for the league team, World Cup, I think the number of the star players from the league turned down, some big monies and playing for the country that they currently are playing in, like Britain, New Zealand and Australia. But they sacrifice it to come play for their home country and have.
Have you seen the movie Red, White and Brass?
There's only 6 weeks till Tonga take on France at the Rugby World Cup.
Maka, what have you done to my house?
Surprise, my man! We've got to show our pride to the world.
I've seen it a couple of times in it, so. And I know the people are behind the scenes in it too, as well. But there was something really big in it back in 2010, was it?
11, I think.
Yeah, 11? Yeah. So, I've seen that.
Do you think that rugby union was bigger back in 2011 than it is now amongst Tongans?
Yes, and even not only to 2011, but I think it was at 2007 or something like that, when they were playing against South Africa.
Well, what a performance from Tonga here this afternoon. Sure, it was the South African victory, and with the bonus point, but it's the bonus point to the Tongans that we'll be talking about for a long time. And we're a mess.
What about those in Otutahi supporting the mighty Manu Samoa? Here's fan Peter Retemanu.
I will be passionately following two particular teams for the World Cup, that is the All Blacks and most assuredly the Samoan team.
Were you a big Samoan fan, would you say?
Yeah, look, the first time they played in the 1991 World Cup was in Europe, and I happened to be there at the time. When I explained to a lot of my workmates that I was Samoan, nobody actually knew where that was.
What?
And so... So the Samoan team at the time, confounding expectation and beating Argentina, but also beating Wales most especially.
Seconds left of the game, I would have thought. And that's it, the final whistle. And the shock of the competition. Wales 13, Western Samoa 16.
Basically put the Samoan team on the map. And then when I went to work the next day, everybody knew where Samoa was.
What are your expectations for Samoa this World Cup?
My expectations are very high, and predominantly because they made the knockout stages in the World Cup in 1991, 1995 and 1999, but they haven't since. And so I think under the coaching of Mapasua, who is an ex-Highlander, and every dog has his day, so to speak. And I think a lot of the variables are in place, or the planets are aligned to actually for them to be very competitive, especially targeting a couple of games like Chile and Japan.
Have you heard about Samoan fandom? I was just thinking about the rugby league, with the big flags and stuff. Is it going to be anything like that at your place, or you know of anyone that's planning to do that?
We're a bit more subdued down south, Tom. I know that there's a number of very, very passionate fans up in the North Island, but but we wear our passion on the inside down here. So no, we'll be no less passionate here. I've got a lot of family here in Christchurch. We're salivating over the prospect of Samoa getting across the line this World Cup.
So, all this suspense, all this promise, and all this challenge. How did Pasifika Rugby come to be where it's at now? Back to RNZ's Eliesa Tora.
There are two things that I believe has really helped in lifting rugby in the Pacific. One, the fact that their players now are playing competitive rugby out there in Europe, in the different clubs across France, England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, even up in Romania and Italy, and across here in New Zealand and Australia. That's one. The experience that these players bring back from these professional environments has helped lift the standards within their different squads. And secondly, the inclusion of the Moana Pasifika and the Fijian Rua in the Super Rugby Pacific competition last year and this year. That, I believe, has also lifted the standards for local players who are out here playing in Australia and New Zealand, and then they get called into these two franchises. The Fijian Rua...
If you think Rua are going to win, make some noise!
The majority of the squad are local based, are Fijian players who are actually playing in the local competition in Fiji. Their inclusion in the Super Rugby competition has really lifted the standards. Previously, Fiji, Tonga and Samoa had been pushing for inclusion in the Super Rugby. And then COVID came, provided that opportunity where New Zealand and Australia had to look to the Pacific to be able to make the competition competitive and work. And opening the door for the Fijian Rua and the Moana Pasifika to come in, that was a blessing in disguise. Thank you, COVID.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say COVID's been good for anything. There you go.
That was a good effect that COVID brought. And now, heading into the World Cup, out of the 33-member Flying Fijian squad, there's 18 Fijian Rua who are there and competing and staking their claims on run-on teams. The same for Samoa and Tonga. Their Moana Pasifika players are also competing well and also getting into the run-on teams, the starting lineups for those teams. And having Super Rugby and getting these players from Europe in the teams has also lifted a lot of interest in the islands.
Yeah. I mean, what have been the setbacks that some of these teams have faced? We've seen the game grow in leaps and bounds, but there've been some real challenges, eh?
Yes, this is something that Tier 2 nations will always have challenge with, is the resources, having the financial assistance and having the resources to be able to provide that for their players. I know Fiji, Samoa and Tonga, they went back home for training. They had to make do with what they were able to afford, what they had. And that's what's brought them together. But despite those challenges, it's the team bonding, the understanding, the culture, and all that keeps them going. But the challenges are many. Interestingly, the World Rugby law on players eligibility rule that is now in effect, that has enabled some of those former players from the Wallabies and the All Blacks to join these specific teams is good.
It's really exciting for not just Pacific Island rugby, but I think for the the game as a whole. Things are fluid. Eligibility changes, people's allegiances change, and this I think is a lot more reflective of the fact that people do have dual nationalities now.
That has helped in lifting morale and standards within the teams themselves.
I think the big thing though with Pacific teams is fandom.
The last World Cup, we had an aunt who took her Fiji flag when Fiji reached the quarters, and she walked from Mount Roskill to New Lynn, and they had commuters and people just tooting their horns at her and just waving. She was waving the flag. She wasn't shy. She wasn't scared. She just stood up and just left with the Fiji flag.
That's
and
good.
Proudly waved it on the road.
New Zealanders, I feel we're pretty reserved sports fans. We don't like to shout too loudly. We get into it, but we don't shout from the rooftops. But like Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, it's not the case. I mean, I remember Samoa celebrating all over the country with the flags on the cars with the rugby league and that.
Rain or shine, we are going to be out here celebrating, partying and making history with everyone around the world. Yahoo!
It's crazy. I've lived in Tonga for the last 11 years. Every time the Tongan rugby league team, the Tongan Ikaletahi plays, even if they lost, they still celebrations. They still celebrate the fact that their team can play out there in the world stage and perform. People stay up in the late hours of the night if they have to, or wake up early hours in the morning to watch their teams play on television. And if they win, man, the celebrations just break out everywhere. Just when the Tongan and the Samoan teams were leaving for France from Nuku'alofa and Apia, both teams actually had members of the public in motorcades taking their players to the airport. And, with flags flying and music's blaring and sounding all over the place, from the city to the airport to farewell them.
What do you think's different from, say, like New Zealand or the fandom we have compared to somewhere like these, Tonga, Fiji, Samoa?
The fans are more open, and their pride cannot be held back when they see their teams play. You will get to know about them when the matches happen.
Oh,
they
sure
will be out there also. They will be out there also.
You're going over to France to watch these teams, aren't you? What's your plan?
Yeah, I'm actually flying off to France for Radio New Zealand Pacific on the 5th of September. If I get my visa on time, otherwise I will be going after that. But
I hope so.
Yeah, the plan is to cover the three teams and follow them in their different matches the different locations. Obviously, some of the games I will be missing because they either happening on the same day or one day after the other, and of the different locations. But I'm looking forward to going over there and following them and meeting up with the different Pacific contingents, fan bases around France. I've already seeing thousands of local French fans watching Fiji, Tonga, Samoa at their training sessions, and following them around. I know there's a lot of Pacific fan base out there in France because a lot of Pacific players are playing out there in Europe and in France itself. So it'll be interesting to go out there and meet them and see how they will back their teams.
Who do you think is going to win? Who's your money on to win the tournament?
I'm always an All Blacks fan. I'm tipping the All Blacks to appear in the final. But who they will meet? Maybe Fiji. Fiji.
Imagine that, All Blacks Fiji final. Yeah. Would you prefer Fiji to win over New Zealand, though?
Well, if they can, I would. Man, I would be off the moon. I'd probably jump off the Eiffel Tower.
Are you hoping for a semi or even a final match?
Oh, man, semi would be like, we just won the World Cup. And then the finals, oh, my goodness. I will have to tell the listeners, please, if Fiji reaches the finals, even the semis, go to the doctor, have yourself sent over, if you're good, because we don't want to, have people falling, when Fiji scores in one of these matches. I know.
That's it for today. I'm Tom Kitchen. The Detail is supported by the Public Interest Journalism Fund. Today's episode was engineered by Jeremy Ansell. Our producers are Alexia Russell and Bonnie Harrison. Thanks to Iliesa Tora, Nemai Tangitaka Imbau, Sami Bae Lotu and Ita Aretemanu. Wha Whitai, Toki Sio, Vinaka Vakalevu.